People talk about you, they talk about you as a future president of Turkey. Do you aspire to that job?
Right now, I am the mayor of the most beautiful city in the world. Perhaps I'm the mayor of one of the biggest cities in the world. All I have in my mind is to become very successful, to become the most democratic mayor of the world. And I want to contribute to the city's spirit by introducing transparency and inclusiveness, and in fact, to bring about a revolution in governing. I'm not focusing on anything else other than this right now.
The next election is in 2023. Do you think you may have changed your mind by then?
There are years ahead of us. My only focus is to work very hard. If you work very hard, without you making any plans, people already send you to where they think you fit. Right now, my only focus is to become very successful as a mayor of Istanbul. In fact, the most successful ever came from Istanbul.
But that will give you a profile on the national stage. Do you think you're playing on the national stage now? Do you ever see yourself playing on the national stage? Do you see yourself as a national figure in Turkey?
Becoming the mayor of the greater city of Istanbul makes you figure at a national level already. In any case, we went through an extraordinary election. In fact, 2 elections, which is unique in the world. Therefore, at the moment, the whole of Turkey is following us, following every moment of ours. This is not a matter of positioning. Unavoidably, Istanbul is in the center of the agenda in respect of the whole of Turkey, because the good things have an impact on the whole of Turkey. Therefore, I say once again that all my focus is to release good energy to the whole of Turkey from Istanbul. In fact, there is an impact on the world as well. And as mayor, I feel responsible towards the world as well.
So you play an important part in Turkey's future, would you say, at this stage?
Well, of course. You are governing 16 million people. Almost 1 in every 5 people in Turkey lives in Istanbul. Furthermore, 60% of its economy takes place in Istanbul. In that respect, of course, I bear a very important responsibility for Turkey. This responsibility is not just within Istanbul or not just within our national boundaries. I have responsibility to contribute to Turkey in respect of our relationship with the world at the same time, because Istanbul is a city of the world.
Are you happy, therefore, with the relationship that Turkey has with the rest of the world? The President was in Washington earlier on this week, meeting the President of the United States. Clearly, that relationship has a big impact on what happens with the Turkish economy and, therefore, the Istanbul economy. Are you happy with the way that that relationship is working?
I am someone who would be pleased to see Turkey in a positive relationship with the whole world, because the economy needs morale. A country's citizens want to be motivated as well. They want to hear and see that their leaders are liked, appreciated, looked positively upon by other countries. Therefore, right now, unfortunately, I cannot say that we are in a good relationship with all the countries of the world. Unfortunately, things are not going very well in this respect. However, it is in our hands to improve this. If a positive dialogue is achieved, a positive relationship is established with a country, this will make me very happy, whether it's achieved by our Mr. President or a minister or whoever was representing Turkey in this respect, because that will surely reflect positively on Turkey and Istanbul's affairs.
How would you change those relationships?
Very easy. Very easy because, I mean, Turkey has many advantages. Perhaps due to the position it occupies. Perhaps it is one of the most needed countries of the world. How did I come to this feeling? Mostly within this year, the attitude shown by our people for democracy or standing up for democracy. In the middle of Europe, that was considered as a need. There were mayor candidates in European countries coming to me and asking, how do I win the elections? Or from Africa, Far Eastern countries, or there were even people who came from South America. So such a country with this sort of importance has advantages to be able to form positive relationships through the historical outlook. Because if you look with a historical approach, it is the cradle of the whole world in respect of different elements, including Mesopotamia. So if we are in this sort of structure, we obviously have the capacity to establish good relationships with the rest of the world.
Do you think Turkey's making the most of that, though? Like, at the moment, Turkey feels like it has a very antagonistic relationship with the West, looking that way, particularly with decisions to buy the S-400 missile system from Russia. It's making the relationship with particularly Washington very, very difficult. Do you think the right decisions are being made to put Turkey in the best position that it could be in, Istanbul in the best position that it could be in when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the prosperity of its people?
I also said in one of my previous sentences that unfortunately that I cannot say that I am happy. I wish that I could say that I was happy, but it's not right to assess Turkey within the perspective of its relationships with Russia and America only based on the recent developments. There are other problems. There's also the issue of being ignorant or not paying enough attention. For instance, Europe's lack of interest. I mean, if you look at the region in a wider perspective, you can find solutions to those problems. However, I do not want to see a Turkey who manages the issues with different countries by way of conflict or clashing. I'm someone who believes in a different philosophy for Turkey. This is something left to us from the foundation years of the Republic, to achieve peace at home and peace in the world. And I'm someone who maintains a dream for a country which is determined to carry on this approach by putting together a strong economic stance. Therefore, instead of a conflict approach, I would dream of a Turkey who decides its own position, not from a place of conflict, but what's best for Turkey, and someone who considers the long-term perspectives.
Turkey is a member of NATO. Do you think that is being put at risk at the moment? That is a key factor in the last 50 years of Turkey's history and its success and its ability to generate stability. Do you think that's being put at risk at the moment?
Turkey is the founder of some institutions, a key member of NATO and some others. Turkey has signed formation stage of certain councils in Europe, and Turkey is an important part of Europe. Therefore, one of the forthcoming countries in terms of being an importance, I don't think Turkey facing a risk in NATO. Because if NATO exists, one of the reasons for its existence is Turkey both geographically and as a country.
Do you see yourself in the future having to make these decisions? You talked at the beginning of the interview of being a good mayor of Istanbul, but you clearly think about the problems that Turkey faces, the challenges that need resolving. You clearly spend time thinking about those. Do you therefore think that you would be good at resolving some of those issues on the national stage? Do you think you have the thoughts and the skills to be able to deliver that for Turkey?
I am a responsible person. There are 82 million responsible people living in Turkey, and everybody pays an effort to create ideas, suggestions, solutions as part of this responsibility. I'm sure everyone does that. However, I am the mayor of Istanbul. Of course, I have an idea about responding to these questions you're putting to me, and I also feel responsible on these issues. At the moment, I'm in England. I might, in a short period of time, pay visit to their countries too, because I'm governing a world city. Therefore, I have an opinion on all sorts of issues about Turkey. I, as a leader, have to come up with ideas and boost my country's morale so that we will have a better Turkey, being involved in greater projects and developing in education, arts, culture, economy and industry. However, all of this aside, my current motivation is to become the mayor of Istanbul who succeeds in the best projects, in the highest quality.
The national government still has big plans for Istanbul as a financial centre. Are you involved in those plans? How do you think they come to fruition? Can Istanbul be a major global financial hub?
Istanbul is already the financial center of Turkey. And also, if you look at Turkey geopolitically, if you place a compass and make a small circle, roughly 1.5 to 2 billion people lives within 2 hours flight distance from Istanbul. Such a location, being such a world-scale city, there's no option other than it being a center. We too have goals, aims, targets to make Istanbul a center of commerce, a center of economy, and a center of creativity. Of course, this is not possible to achieve just by constructing a building. At the same time, it's a matter of an ecosystem, a social atmosphere, and living standards. Therefore, it is the municipality of the Greater Istanbul, in other words, us, who governs the city to prepare grounds for all this. Therefore, not just being a part of this, we are right in the middle of it. And in fact, we will prepare all these processes. We are forming Istanbul investment agencies. We are creativity in Istanbul. We are creating extraordinary spaces, offering opportunities for startups. The single most important factor making this all possible is Istanbul's greater city municipality. Right now, as the mayor, I have the responsibility to motivate. Therefore, we are not a part of it. On the contrary, we are right in the center of it, and we will succeed in this.
When you meet on Friday morning the financial institutions here in London, what are you going to tell them about Istanbul? What are you going to tell them about what you just told me? What are you going to tell them about Turkey's prospects? And what do you think you're going to hear from them?
I will tell them that Istanbul is a center of attraction, that Istanbul has a mechanism that creates plentiful, that Istanbul, if it was a single standalone economy, would be scale of beyond more than $500 billion. And about 55% of the whole of Turkey's economy is taking place in Istanbul. And the mechanism which manages all of these, is Istanbul's greater city municipality. Such a large mechanism, and in my opinion, if you look at Europe, I mean, we are in London here today. I will tell them that London is the center in its west and Istanbul is the center in its east. And I will tell them that Istanbul has such energy. The population of Istanbul is made up of 5 million young people, 6 million children, and 5 million adults. I will tell them that there aren't many dynamic cities as such in Europe, but in the world. Such a large economy and such a large system needs us to create business. And we will need strong investors and strong financial resources to do this. I will tell them that Istanbul is ready for all of this. And I'm pretty sure that such mutual dialogue will definitely receive a good response in this meeting, because Istanbul has high potential. Istanbul has both a high potential and also a city of high abilities. We are a country who succeeded in many ways and have the capacity to succeed much more. Indeed, our city is like that too. I will share with them all of these opportunities. I don't think we'll have a problem in convincing each other.
One of the things that international investors look for is an independent central bank. To have that guarantee that the central bank makes its own decisions is critical to many international investors. Do you think Turkey has that? Do you think Turkey needs that?
Well, of course, in periods of difficulties during which democratic procedures have suffered, it is possible to wrongly apply certain economic rules or not apply them fully. And of course, this will disturb some foreign financial institutions. At the moment, it is true that the position of the central bank in Turkey is subject to some dispute. It's true that this is being questioned by some in the world of politics. It's being questioned by us as well. But we shouldn't forget this is a temporary problem, and Turkey's potential should not be questioned only through the issues of the central bank. I mean, other important values in Turkey should be looked at closely, and Istanbul is one of them. Only the budget of Istanbul's greater municipality is large enough to be one of the top 3 of the largest 500 companies in Turkey. So even by ourselves, we govern a large economy. There is such big potential. Yes, there are some negative developments, but these are temporary. I've always said that the democratic stance taken in Turkey this year proved that people gave the message. This is a very valuable attitude in a world where populism is so widespread. This democratic attitude shows that if you don't govern the country the right way, this nation will remove you from office. Therefore, I'm hoping that this is a temporary period, which will change very quickly. And in any case, it will change very soon. But alongside all this, we wish that the financial world will see another potential, and that is the fact that Istanbul has a great potential. And Istanbul has a leader who is believed by 16 million people. And Istanbul has a mayor who makes it possible that democracy prevails. A mayor who shares all of Istanbul's resources with its people and who is transparent and accountable. In my opinion, this is what the financial world should focus on.
Just a final quick question. Is the president making it difficult for you to run Istanbul?
I won the mayorship elections, overcoming much difficulty. And after this point, no hardship feels like hardship to me. It's just that there are habits of 25 years. As you know, the same government ran Istanbul for 25 years. I see this as an act of maintaining the habits. We will overcome this. We're putting up courage, brave democratic principles in Istanbul. What we're saying to those people is that now you are facing with the actual majority. You are facing with the citizens, and citizens do not care about power. Therefore, I'm saying very clearly these difficulties, hardships, do not matter at all for me. I've got grips of them. I solved all the riddles. In any case, the people elected me to overcome difficult tasks. If it's easy, anyone can do it. So I'm here to meet the challenges.
Actually, I've got one more final quick question. You have a $500 million bond sales, which you've done. What are you going to use the money for? Is there a big project in Istanbul that you're going to be using that money for?
This is just preparation. There is nothing definite or crystal clear yet. This is just preparation. We're not in a position where the sale activities are about to be undertaken. We are discussing these with financial institutions about Istanbul's potential. Even the consolidated annual budget of Istanbul is approximately $9 billion. Just the metro project, which is ongoing at the moment, is around $2 billion. Istanbul has many needs, but also has resources. Istanbul has the capacity to cover the cost of the projects it needs, mainly transport and especially metro projects, projects to combat climate change, environmental projects, energy projects. They all have the capacity to finance themselves. Therefore, the figures you are talking about are just small figures for funding Istanbul.